This has to happen sometimes just to piss me off. My phone just cuts off the video, starts playing music, doesn't say why, just does it. It's trying to see if I'm still as pissy as I was earlier today. I certainly could be. I can probably get back there real quick. Anyway, meaning of life. Back to it. Where was I? I don't remember. Okay, but that's the larger. That's the larger sort of, if you find yourself existing in the first place question. The one that, like, I exist, okay? You have done that first thing. You know, I think, therefore I exist. Which is dumb because thinking does not imply existing, but that was what the dude said, and we have that in our heads. So if you find that you are a concentrated bit of consciousness inside of some form, then you supposedly exist, and therefore you might be able to ask the question, what am I doing here? Now, what I was talking about before is this this general philosophy applies to that situation. Okay? I feel like a thing, or a being, or a here-ness, or a present, or an isness, and I seem to have a body that I don't know who I am or what I am, but I am this essence that's controlling the body, okay? And that's a very general case where you might say, why am I here? Now that's the general overall philosophical question that you might ask, and I kind of covered that already. Which is, overall, there isn't an answer to it, i.e., if you're not satisfied with any of the given answers, such as religious or familial, which are probably the same, and you're not satisfied with any random answer that you can come up with yourself in your own head, then you're not going to have an answer. That's about as simple as I can explain it. Now, outside of those, outside of the general philosophy as to why we're here, I think that she was asking a more particular question. Why are we here in this particular realm with these exact particular or these exact particular effects, this particular rule set? Why are we here? What is our purpose in this exact particular scenario? I think was her actual question. And as far as that goes, I can't answer that either. She said something like, oh, you know, people seem to be beating around the bush or never giving any clear answer about it, and I can't do any better than that. I can beat around the bush as well. It's an impossible question. It doesn't have an answer. I could supply answers, and I've actually supplied many answers on my channel in various ways. I've talked about given scenarios, I've talked about my interpretation of given scenarios, and I've also just made shit up, which actually I encourage everybody to do as far as the meaning of life, is you should just be making shit up, so long as you're not hurting people. Oh, back to what I was talking about. When I have my life coach business running, you know, and one of the things I'm going to be doing is when somebody comes to me and says, hey, like, what the fuck is going on and why am I here? I'm going to tell them to think of the most ridiculous thing that they were always too scared to do in their life, or that maybe it's just ridiculous and they just never did it. And I'm going to ask them to make that thing happen. Manifest it. See what it feels like. Right? And then when they're done manifesting, when they've done this thing, whatever it is, maybe they've never streaked, right? Maybe they've never taken off their clothes and then run naked in front of a bunch of people ever, in any situation. And they want to do that. Or they're scared. They're like, oh, I can never do that. And I'm like, go do it. Wherever. Go streak in front of 7-Eleven. Come back, report back how that felt. And then once they're doing the thing, the weird thing, whatever they're scared to do, or whatever seems very strange, or they think they can never do it, I will tell them or ask them now, did you realize that every single generation before you, all of your forefathers, your ancestors, everyone, all of these greats that you've been standing on the shoulders of, the entire purpose of that whole thing was to get you to the point where you could go streaking in front of 7-Eleven and freak out Abdul whoever who's behind the counter. And that's the meaning of life, is that you could have done that. That'll be one of the exercises. This is a really good sunset. There, see, I should be out there instead of in here making videos. Back to why are we here? Okay, so I don't know why we're here. We're just simply here. In this particular context, there's a lot of talk going around about this being an ancestor simulation. If you listen to Og at all, then there's talk about this being a breakaway civilization, or you know, ancestor simulation, or we're simply in a computer, you know, playing out an advanced VR video game, you know, in some other, or else we're in seven layers deep of a dream, and at the top of the dream was the original being who dreamed himself into something else, and then that being dreamed himself down, and now we're at the 7th, 8th, 20th level, whatever. Or this is just life, you know, this is life. Wherever you happen to find yourself existing, then that is what it is. It is life. It's existence. You could say this is some sort of energetic loosh harvesting farm. You could say this is some sort of containment zone for when the universe tried to explode, and we're still, you know, on the event horizon of that explosion, but since we have access to the most ridiculously advanced technology possible, then we managed to freeze everything in the last billionth of a second before everything completely obliterated, and now we are forever replaying moments ultimately prior to that grand explosion, previous to and up right until almost the explosion. What else? Why are we here? We're spirit beings that wanted to experience the physical. Some say that, you know, Carlos Castaneda would say, you know, humans are everlasting immortal flames, and these flames got lured by another dimensional being that wants energy, and he lured these flames into physical bodies, and then once the flames got into bodies and then they sort of eject out of the body, then there's a whole reincarnation system designed to lure them straight back in. And some people say we've been sitting here replaying the same thing over and over and getting our memories wiped every single time. What else? Oh, why are we here? To get a job, pay taxes, and die. That's the American dream that most of us were given when we entered into the joys of Moneyland. One I like is we're just all of existence is God is simply dreaming. God is dreaming. Who is God? Nobody knows. What else? We're here for growth, spiritual growth. We're here so the universe can go through every single possible physical / conscious experiencer, observer, iteration possible, every single one, and you are simply having the you should be happy to be able to have been given the opportunity to act out one out of an infinite amount of possible physical / spirit combinations. That's a good one. We are here to mine gold. we're here, as quasi-luminists would say, we're here to either work for useless paper or mine gold, or we're here to reclaim our status as sovereign beings and make heaven on earth via a bloodletting ritual called blood over intent, which is highly controversial, so I wouldn't recommend just go ahead and do that until you've really figured out if you want to do that or not. And then of course there's, you know, the one that says, you know, Albert Camus, life is simply absurd and there's no reasoning to it whatsoever. There's also the possibility of absurdity. Life is chaos pretending to be orderly. Anyway, these are some philosophies. As far as why I think we're here, I'm more in the camp of the first thing I talked about, which is general philosophy, which is that question itself goes away after you've become present enough that these conceptions aren't bothering you so much. So I don't apply those questions, generally speaking, although I can talk about them. I hope that helped, and I'm in a better mood now, if you haven't noticed. The day has become beautiful, and everything is just skippy-dippy. If that's a thing. Skippy-dippy. Hunky-dory? I'm gonna go now. Bye.